The desert around Area 51 had always been quiet and empty. Long roads stretched through dry land, and the sun burned the ground every day. Very few people were allowed near this place. It was protected, watched, and hidden from the world. Most people believed nothing important ever happened there. That belief changed on one strange morning. Just before sunrise, the ground began to shake. It was not strong like an earthquake, but it was enough to wake the guards on duty. A deep sound rolled across the desert, followed by a sharp crack. Sand and dust shot into the air. When the shaking stopped, something unbelievable remained. A massive sinkhole had opened in the center of a restricted zone. The hole was wider than a football field and so deep that the bottom could not be seen. The edges looked broken and rough, like the land had been pulled apart from below. Cold air drifted up from the darkness, even though the desert heat was already rising. Guards quickly blocked the area and called for emergency teams. No one spoke loudly. Everyone felt uneasy. The desert had never behaved like this before. Area 51 was built on solid ground. Sinkholes were not supposed to happen here. Mark arrived at the site soon after. He was a senior officer with many years of experience. He was calm, serious, and known for making smart decisions under pressure. As he stepped out of his vehicle, he looked at the giant hole and felt a strange weight in his chest. Mark walked closer but stopped at a safe distance. He picked up a small stone and dropped it inside. The sound of the stone hitting the bottom never came. The silence felt heavy. Another officer named Leo joined him. Leo was younger and full of questions. He stared into the darkness, his eyes wide. He had worked at the base for 5 years, but he had never seen anything like this. "This does not feel natural," Leo said quietly. Mark nodded. He felt the same way. Engineers brought scanners and sensors to study the hole. They tested the walls and the air. The results made no sense. The ground below did not match any known rock or metal. The scanners failed to read deeper than a certain point, as if something was blocking the signals. As the sun rose higher, the hole seemed to change. Shadows moved strangely along the walls. The cold air grew stronger. Some guards said they heard a low humming sound coming from below, but no device could record it. Mark ordered everyone to stay calm and follow protocol. Sending people down was too dangerous. The walls could collapse at any moment. The depth was unknown. Whatever caused this hole might still be active. The team decided to use a drone. The drone was advanced and built for dangerous missions. It had strong lights, high-quality cameras, and sensors for air and pressure. The control room was set up near the site. Large screens were placed in front of the operators. As the drone was prepared, more officials arrived. Scientists, engineers, and officers filled the room. The atmosphere was tense. No one joked. No one smiled. Leo stood near Mark as the drone was launched. It hovered over the sinkhole for a moment, then slowly descended into the darkness. The cameras sent live video to the screens. At first, the drone showed rough stone walls. Sand and dust clung to the sides. Everything looked normal. The drone continued downward. 10 meters. 20. 50. Then something changed. The walls became smooth. Too smooth. They looked shaped, not broken. The surface reflected the drone's light in a strange way. Lines appeared, straight and clean, running along the walls like patterns. The room went silent. Mark stepped closer to the screen. His mind raced. This was not how natural rock looked. It was as if the hole had been carved, not formed by collapse. The drone continued deeper. The patterns grew clearer. Symbols appeared, repeating in places. They were not letters from any known language. The sensors began to react. Temperature dropped quickly. Air pressure shifted. Leo whispered that the drone should turn back. Mark hesitated. His instincts told him to stop. His duty told him to continue. The drone reached a wide opening. The hole opened into a massive underground space. The camera lights struggled to cover the size of it. The walls curved outward, forming a giant chamber. In the center of the chamber, something stood. At first, it looked like a tall structure. As the drone moved closer, details became clear. The structure was metallic, dark, and smooth. It stood upright, like a tower buried deep beneath the desert. The surface was covered in the same symbols seen on the walls. Some of them glowed faintly as the drone approached. The humming sound returned, stronger this time. The drone's systems began to flicker. Scientists shouted data readings. None of it matched known materials. The structure was old. Extremely old. Older than the base itself. Older than anything that should exist under the desert. Mark felt a chill run through him. This thing had been here long before Area 51 was built. Maybe long before modern history. Suddenly, the drone stopped responding. The lights dimmed. The camera shook. For a brief moment, the screen showed something moving near the base of the structure. Then the signal cut out completely. The room fell into stunned silence. Everyone knew one thing for certain. The sinkhole was not an accident. And whatever was buried beneath Area 51 was never meant to be found. After the drone signal was lost, the control room stayed silent for a long moment. No one moved. No one spoke. The screens showed only black. The hum of machines was the only sound left. Mark broke the silence. He ordered the technicians to check every system. Engineers worked fast, but the drone was gone. No signal. No location. It was as if it had vanished. The discovery forced the base into full alert. More security teams were called in. The sinkhole area was sealed tighter than ever. No phones. No outside contact. Every person on site was ordered to stay. Scientists gathered to study the data collected before the drone failed. The symbols, the structure, the underground chamber. Nothing matched any known record. The material did not behave like metal or stone. It reacted to energy in strange ways. Leo sat beside a scientist named Adam. Adam was quiet and focused. He had spent years studying deep earth materials. His hands shook slightly as he reviewed the readings. "This should not exist," Adam said. "The age alone breaks everything we know." Mark listened closely. He trusted Adam. If Adam was concerned, then the situation was serious. As hours passed, the sinkhole continued to change. Small pieces of rock fell from the sides. The cold air flowing out of the hole became stronger. Sensors placed around the edge showed energy movement rising from below. Late in the day, a decision was made. A second drone would be sent. This one was stronger and better protected. Some wanted to wait. Mark did not agree. He believed whatever was below was waking up. Waiting could be dangerous. The second drone was launched as the sun began to set. Its lights cut through the darkness as it descended. Everyone watched closely. Every meter down felt heavy. The drone reached the same depth as the first. The smooth walls appeared again. The glowing symbols reacted faster this time. They pulsed softly as the drone passed. Leo noticed something new. The symbols were changing, rearranging, almost like they were responding. The drone entered the underground chamber. The massive structure stood in the center, unchanged but brighter now. The glow was stronger. The hum deeper. The drone moved slowly around the structure. Cameras captured fine details. Lines and shapes crossed the surface. Some areas looked worn, as if touched many times long ago. Then the drone found an opening. It was small but clear. A doorway carved into the structure. The edges were smooth. Perfect. No sign of damage. It looked intentional. The control room erupted with voices. Some wanted to stop. Others wanted to go inside. Mark raised his hand and made the call. The drone entered the opening. Inside was a narrow passage. The walls glowed softly, lighting the way without visible sources. The air inside looked clear. Too clear. The passage led to a wide room. The camera revealed something unexpected. Rows of tall shapes stood along the walls. They looked like containers. Each one was sealed and covered in the same symbols. Adam leaned forward, his face pale. He recognized the design. Not from science books, but from ancient drawings found around the world. Shapes seen in caves, on stones, in forgotten ruins. These stories were not myths, Adam whispered. The drone moved closer to one container. Its surface was clear like glass but stronger than steel. Inside was a shape. Not human. Not animal. Something else. The room went silent again. Leo felt his breath slow. He could not look away. The shape inside the container did not move, but it felt present. Watching. Suddenly, the structure reacted. The glow brightened. The hum grew louder. Warning alerts flashed on the screen. The drone shook as energy levels spiked. Mark ordered an immediate retreat. The drone turned back, but the passage began to close. Walls shifted smoothly, changing shape. The exit grew smaller. The drone barely escaped the passage before it sealed shut. As it exited the chamber, the lights flickered. The drone lost control for a moment, but stabilized. Then something else happened. The structure sent out a wave of energy. Sensors around the sinkhole spiked. The ground shook lightly again. The drone was pushed upward fast. The feed cut out for a second. When it returned, the drone was rising rapidly. It shot out of the sinkhole and crashed into the sand nearby. Guards rushed to recover it. The drone was damaged but intact. Data was saved. As night fell, the base was locked down completely. No one slept. Mark gathered the senior team in a secure room. What they found beneath Area 51 was not built by humans. It was ancient, advanced, and it was no longer silent. Mark understood the truth now. The base had not been built here by accident. Someone, long ago, knew something was buried beneath the desert. And now, whatever was sleeping below had been disturbed. The night over Area 51 felt heavier than usual. The desert sky was clear, filled with stars, but no one was looking up. Every eye was focused on the sinkhole. Bright lights surrounded it. Guards stood in silence, gripping their equipment, watching for any change. Inside the main facility, Mark sat at a long table with scientists and officers. The recovered drone sat in the center of the room. Its surface was scratched and warm, even hours after recovery. That alone worried the team. Adam connected the drone memory to the main system. Screens lit up across the room. The images appeared slowly. The underground chamber. The structure. The sealed containers. Every detail made the room feel smaller. One scientist named Paul spoke carefully. He explained that the energy readings were increasing. Not fast, but steady. Whatever was below was becoming more active. Leo stood near the screen. He had not spoken much since the discovery. His mind kept returning to the shape inside the container. It had not moved, yet it felt alive. That feeling stayed with him. Outside, sensors placed around the sinkhole began to react. A soft vibration spread through the ground. Not strong enough to cause damage, but noticeable. The cold air rising from the hole grew thicker, rolling across the sand like fog. Mark ordered a full underground scan using surface equipment. The results were disturbing. The structure extended far beyond what the drone had seen. It was part of something larger. A network buried deep beneath the desert. Adam shared another concern. Ancient symbols similar to those found on the structure had been discovered in ruins across the world. Different cultures. Different ages. Same patterns. It suggested contact long before modern time. The idea unsettled everyone. As midnight approached, alarms sounded softly across the base. Not emergency alarms, but system alerts. Power levels were shifting. Communication signals were disturbed. Time readings from certain devices no longer matched. Leo stepped outside to get fresh air. He stood near the sinkhole edge, careful not to get too close. The hum from below was louder now. It felt like a slow heartbeat. Suddenly, the ground beneath his feet vibrated. He stepped back as sand slid toward the hole. Guards shouted warnings. The vibration stopped after a few seconds, but something had changed. A soft light glowed from inside the sinkhole. Mark rushed outside with the team. Everyone watched in silence as the light grew brighter. It was the same color seen on the symbols. Gentle, but powerful. Adam checked his tablet. Energy output had doubled. This structure is activating, he said. Not fully. But it is responding. Mark knew they could not ignore this any longer. He gave the order to prepare a manned descent. The decision shocked many, but there was no choice. They needed answers before things went further. A special team was chosen. Mark would lead. Leo insisted on joining. Adam joined as well, despite the risks. The descent equipment was prepared before dawn. Strong cables. Protective suits. Lights designed for deep environments. Everything was checked again and again. As the sun rose, the team descended slowly into the sinkhole. The walls passed by, rough at first, then smooth. The symbols glowed softly as they moved deeper. Leo felt pressure in his head, like a distant sound only he could hear. He did not mention it. They reached the chamber safely. Seeing it in person was overwhelming. The structure stood silent, massive, and ancient. Up close, the symbols seemed alive, shifting slowly. Adam touched the surface carefully. It was warm. It responded to contact with a faint glow. They moved toward the doorway discovered by the drone. It was open now. Inside, the room of containers waited. The shapes inside remained still. Mark felt a deep sense of unease. These were not machines. They were beings. As they walked deeper, the hum changed. It grew softer, almost welcoming. Then one container began to glow brighter than the others. The shape inside moved. Slowly. Leo froze. His heart raced. The figure opened its eyes. At that moment, every light in the chamber brightened. The structure responded fully. Symbols across the walls lit up together. A voice filled the room. Not spoken. Not heard with ears. Felt. It was calm. Old. Powerful. The team stood still, unable to move. The voice shared images. Stars. Worlds. A long journey. A warning. These beings had come to Earth long ago. They buried themselves beneath the land to protect something. They slept to wait for the right time. And now, humans had found them again. The message ended as suddenly as it began. The lights dimmed. The container sealed itself. The team stood in silence. Mark knew one thing for certain. This discovery would change everything. And it was only the beginning. After the strange message ended, the underground chamber became quiet again. The glow faded to a soft light. The hum returned to a slow and steady sound. Mark stood still, trying to understand what had known their thoughts without speaking. Leo felt weak in his legs. He had never experienced anything like that before. The message had not used words, yet it felt clear. These beings were not enemies. At least not yet. Adam slowly checked his instruments. Every reading had changed. Energy patterns were stable now, almost calm. It felt like the structure was watching them, waiting for their next move. Mark ordered the team to return to the surface. They needed time to think. Too much had happened too fast. The descent team moved carefully back toward the lift point. As they left the chamber, the doorway closed smoothly behind them. The trip back up felt longer than the descent. No one spoke. Each person was lost in thought. When they reached the surface, guards helped them out. The desert sun felt strange after the underground light. The base entered a new phase of control. Information was locked down tightly. Only a small group was allowed to know the full truth. Mark was placed in charge of the operation. He did not ask for the role, but he accepted it. Inside the main command room, Mark gathered the senior team. Scientists, officers, and analysts sat around the table. Adam explained what the message likely meant. The beings had come from far beyond Earth. They were protectors, not rulers. They had buried themselves to guard something dangerous. That idea caused tension in the room. "What are they protecting us from?" one officer asked. Adam did not have an answer. As hours passed, the structure below remained quiet. Energy stayed stable. No more vibrations. No more light surges. Some believed the danger had passed. Leo did not agree. He felt something pulling at his mind. Not strong. Not painful. Just a feeling of attention. He told Mark privately. Mark listened carefully. He trusted Leo. That night, Leo could not sleep. His dreams were filled with stars and deep darkness. He saw images of Earth changing, skies burning, oceans shaking. He woke in a cold sweat. At the same time, systems across the base began to act strangely. Cameras flickered. Doors opened slightly before closing again. Power shifted without command. It felt like the base itself was being tested. Adam noticed patterns forming in the data. The structure was interacting with their technology, learning how humans worked. Mark realized something important. The beings were not trapped below. They were choosing to stay. By morning, a new signal appeared. A pulse from the structure sent a clear pattern into the base systems. This time, the message was simpler. It showed a point deep underground beyond the chamber. A sealed location. Adam understood immediately. That was what they were guarding. The team prepared another descent. This time, not to explore the beings, but to see what lay beyond them. The beings did not stop them. The chamber lights guided the way. Mark, Leo, and Adam returned underground. They followed a hidden path revealed by the symbols. The path led deeper than before. The air felt heavier. The walls were older. They reached a massive sealed door. It was different from the structure above. Dark, rough, damaged. Adam read the symbols nearby. His face turned pale. "This is a prison," he said. Before Mark could respond, the ground shook violently. Alarms screamed above. The sealed door began to crack. A deep sound echoed through the tunnel. The beings reacted instantly. Light filled the passage. Energy flowed like a shield. The crack slowed. Through the door, something moved. It was not calm, not patient. It pushed against the barrier with force. The message returned to their minds. Urgent now. Clear. The beings had been holding this prison closed for thousands of years. Their strength was fading. Human activity had weakened the balance. Mark understood the truth. Area 51 was built to study the unknown, but it had been placed here to monitor this prison. Long ago, someone had known. The door shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling. If the prison opened, whatever was inside would reach the surface. Mark made a decision. He ordered an emergency energy transfer from the base to the structure. Human power combined with the ancient system. Adam warned it was risky. Mark did not hesitate. Energy surged through the chamber. The beings glowed brighter than ever before. The door stopped moving. Silence followed. For now, Mark knew this was not over. Humanity had been pulled into a responsibility far greater than secrets or technology. They were now guardians. And the world above had no idea how close it was to disaster. The silence after the energy surge felt unreal. The underground chamber stood still, filled with soft light. The sealed prison door no longer moved. The deep sound had stopped. Mark stood in place, listening, waiting, unsure if the danger had truly passed. Leo felt the strange pressure in his mind fade. For the first time since the discovery, his thoughts felt like his own again. He took a slow breath and looked at the ancient beings. Their glow was weaker now. They had used much of their strength. Adam checked his equipment. Energy levels were dropping across the structure. The ancient system was stable, but barely. The prison remained sealed, but the balance was fragile. Mark knew they could not stay underground much longer. He ordered the team to return to the surface and prepare long-term containment. The beings did not stop them. Instead, a final message flowed gently through their minds. It was not a warning this time. It was trust. Back at the surface, the base entered a permanent lockdown phase. New systems were built. New defenses activated. The sinkhole was reinforced and hidden beneath a massive sealed structure. From above, the desert looked untouched again. Only a few people knew the truth. Mark worked day and night. He coordinated scientists, engineers, and security teams. The mission was clear now. Protect the prison. Support the ancient guardians. Never allow the balance to break again. Adam focused on learning how the ancient technology worked. Slowly, carefully, without force. He discovered that the structure responded best to calm energy patterns. Aggression caused instability. Cooperation created balance. Leo became a key link between humans and the beings. They never spoke directly again, but sometimes he felt guidance. Small nudges. Silent understanding. He accepted the role without question. Weeks passed. Then months. The world above continued as normal. People argued, worked, laughed, and slept, unaware of what lay beneath the desert. No news reported the sinkhole. No satellite image showed the truth. One quiet evening, Mark stood alone near the sealed site. The desert wind moved softly around him. He thought about how close the world had come to disaster. Not from invasion, but from ignorance. The ancient beings had not come to rule Earth. They had come to protect it. They had waited patiently, hoping humanity would grow enough to help share the burden. Adam joined Mark. He shared new data. The prison was stable. The danger inside remained contained. For now. It will always require guardians, Adam said. Us, and those who come after us. Mark nodded. He understood the weight of that truth. Deep underground, the ancient beings rested again. Not sleeping fully. Watching. Waiting. Their strength slowly rebuilding with the help of human energy. The prison remained sealed. The threat inside remained silent. Leo looked up at the night sky from his quarters. He thought about the stars. About how small Earth was in the vast universe. And how important it was at the same time. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger responsibility. Not as explorers. Not as conquerors. But as protectors. The sinkhole that had shocked everyone became a hidden doorway to a new role for mankind. A role that would never be written in history books. Some secrets were meant to stay buried. And some guardians were meant to remain unseen. Far below the desert, ancient systems hummed softly. The balance held. For now.